Hello, what's up you guys? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to try and answer the question on a couple of things. Traction control, yay or nay? I can answer that question for you now. But traction control, how to disable it in my GX470 here. So I had a video a couple weeks ago, deep snow. I'm back at the scene of the crime, but I'm in the worst conditions possible, but the best conditions possible for doing the test that I'm trying to do today. So here's the deal. Traction control, yay or nay? Well, yay, of course. Yes, it's incredible for how it's designed and what it's designed for. You have a vehicle with independent front suspension. You have less travel up and down. So when you're going over maybe rocks or anything that's going to articulate your suspension, ruts, whatever it is, and you lift a tire, that's where traction control comes in. Number one, you're going to be going slow. You're in kind of a crawl mode. Number two, when that tire lifts up, most of these things don't have lockers. This doesn't have lockers. Without a locker, if you lift a tire, that tire is just going to spin and you're stuck. So traction control will apply the brakes via the ABS system, right? It'll apply the brakes to that tire, and how a differential works then, it will then transfer to the tire that's actually on the ground and you can keep going. In that case, traction control is great, and that's exactly what it's designed for. In the case of mud, sand, and snow, traction control is not your friend, all right? Now, this is my opinion, but it's right. Look, when you get into a situation in a mud bog, in sand, in snow, where you can start to feel yourself maybe going down or whatever, and you need to get on it, that's when you want your tires to spin. You want to get them going and get moving. Well, in this particular vehicle, it does not have a traction control off button. And I'll show you how it got me stuck. You can see what happens when I overpowered the traction control system with my right foot. Now, what I'm gonna do today is, hopefully, it's so icy. These are pure ice. Pure ice, and the snow is not snow. It is that concrete stuff. 2 weeks ago this was kind of powder. 2 weeks of about 40 to 55 degree weather and the sun have annihilated this stuff and turned it into what I like to call wet concrete. So it should be a good test today. All right, so from the information that I've collected off the internet, and the internet's never wrong, but this may not be exact, but if it is, I have a theory, and that's what I'm going to test out. What I read is that the Active Track 2 system on this particular model, now remember, just because this is a Lexus, Toyota, it doesn't mean that it's the same on your Tacoma or your 4Runner or whatever it is that you drive. Toyota does a lot of different things with their vehicles, right? Or your Land Cruiser. They do a lot of different things. And this is an older vehicle. This is an 07, right? So it's not got crawl control and all the modern, I'll say, amenities or nanny systems. Nanny system means it's overlooking you, right? It wants to do something instead of you doing it. And I do have one quick thing here about crawl control. I thought crawl control was stupid on the surface, right? I don't have it in any of my vehicles, but I can kind of tell you what it is. It's basically a system that you'll set it on, turn it on, and you'll set like a mile per hour or kilometer per hour, basically crawl speed, and it will take over. It'll apply, because these are fly-by-wire gas pedals, it'll run the throttle and it'll run the brakes. It'll use its traction and ABS system to help you crawl up something. And to me, I thought, well, that's stupid. That's the whole reason why we're out here off-roading. But then I saw a video from a guy down in Australia, and I think he had a 200 series Land Cruiser, I believe. Doesn't really matter what the vehicle was, but it had a crawl control. And he purposely got himself bogged down in the sand on the beach, buried it, right? To where he couldn't get out when he was manning the pedals. So he set his crawl control, and it took a while, and he filmed the whole thing, and it was sitting there. What it's doing is, as it starts to spin a tire, it stops, it tries the other one, it kept trying different tires, which we can't do with just a gas pedal and a brake pedal. And I don't know, maybe 2 minutes later, I mean, it slowly started to it got itself out. It got itself out, and there's no way that he would have done it unless he would use a shovel and some traction boards. So in that case, it was pretty impressive. So if your vehicle has it, it may come in handy at some point in time. I almost forgot what I was saying. So before the crawl control story, what I read on the internet, and from what I could gather, and I hope this is true, I guess I'll find out. But as far as the Active Track 2 system on this particular 07 Lexus GX470, traction control is on under 2,000 RPMs, right? Because if you're over that, a tire's going to be spinning really fast, and it just says, well, that's too fast, which is how I overpowered it. I floored it, right, in first gear, and I had to overcome the brakes. And I did it so much I could completely smell the ABS system, the brakes, everything just stinking. But under 2,000 RPM, and first gear, now that's a kicker for me, supposedly only in first gear. And I don't know if it's a 4 high, 4 low thing, because right now I'm only in 4 high. I just locked the center differential to put myself into 4 high. And the gearing sucks in 4 high. It's too high of a gear, really, but I'm going to try that first here, just on this section where it's icy. It's just ice trenches here. You can see how the different colorations. And I'll know right away if it's doing the traction control. So I'm going to try and answer that question. But here's my theory. If, in fact, it's only a first gear thing and a 2,000 RPM thing, these Land Cruisers, and I don't know about other vehicles because I don't have Tacoma, I don't have a 4Runner, but the Land Cruisers that I own, all of them, have a second gear start button. Some of them have a power button too, but second gear start, meaning if you've been mud bogging in your life, you want that speed. And a lot of times if you're in, say, 4 low, man, first gear it's not going to get your wheel speed up. So you need to get some wheel speed. So it'll put the automatic transmission in the second gear, and then you floor it. So you see what I'm saying? If it is a first gear only thing for traction control, if I push second gear start, that could be my disabled traction control button. And this thing's geared nice, and it's nice in low range. Second gear is not going to be an issue. Not going to be an issue. So that's what we're going to test out. Well, you want to know how bad the snow is, or concrete? I was just talking right over there, like 30 meters back. What I wanted to do was, I was pointed a little bit downhill. I wanted to turn around and get on the uphill to do this test. Actually, I wanted to go to some rocks. So I come down just to turn around. I'm stuck. Let's take a look at this. I'm stuck. Yeah. So this stuff, I'm like standing on top of it, maybe, I don't know, whatever, 6-8 inches deep. It's ice, and then you go down into it, and that ice, you end up making, look at this, it's pure ice. What I'm going to show you here is the edge of these tracks, right? These tracks. I made these tracks 2 weeks ago. So the edges, that's what happens when you bury your tires down in. It makes that wall, that ramp, what I call the Teflon ramp, because Teflon is super slick, right? And it could be this deep and you get stuck. This is how I got the Jeep stuck a couple years ago in a little area not much different than this. So here begs the question. I am 4 feet off the track. Do I keep trying to work myself back onto this track, or do I go straight and go down to this pine needles here, which is downhill, turn and make a run for the border and come back up through this? I am out here by myself. Now, this is the times when I say, in situations like this, I usually bring my Jeep out. And the only reason why, it's not based off a brand or what it is. It's one, it has axle lockers on both axles. It's got 37-inch tires and it's got a winch. Can pretty much recover myself out of any situation like this. This is the time I'm trying to think, do I get myself deeper in by going down there? It doesn't take much, like literally it doesn't take much. Or do I try and work myself back here with my little shovel? That's traction control kicking in. All right, so I know it didn't look like much, but as soon as I broke through and the hard crusted stuff was behind the tires, all I had to do is dig that out, give me a little bit of momentum, and I backed right out of there, no issues. Now I'm on solid ice in the bottom of these tracks, so it's a good place to test this. We're gonna start in 4-wheel drive high in drive. So I won't have the luxury of knowing until I review this, but four-wheel drive high, just in drive, it drove right out of there. Then I backed up, I tried it again, I backed up, I tried it one more time. The third time, I could hear, when traction control's going, it's the sound of the ABS. Brrr, that sound. You'll hear it clunk, some sound like a clunk, whatever. This is pure ice, look. So I'll try a few more things right here in this location, then we'll try and find another location. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put it into 4 low. Can you see how it stopped me in my tracks? It actually stopped me. Then it went back and forth and started to go. When I first put it in a drive, it was so low geared, it started to go on its own. Let's try that one again. Definitely kicking in. I think I need a little bit more of a hill with ice. Let's just try the second gear start. I could totally hear traction control kicking in, and I was at 2,400 RPM, so there goes all that internet theory. I don't know if you saw when I backed up right there and I hit the brakes, it just slid and it kicked in the ABS. So this is pure ice, man. These things are, you can see both of them, pure ice. No tire pressures let down. These are at regular road pressures. I don't know what I run them, 34, 35 PSI on these 33-inch Falcon all-terrains. So interesting, I tried 2 high or 4 high, and I thought I heard it kick in, but it seemed like I got out of it. I think we need a little bit more challenging area. Whoops. That was 4 high. I was trying 4 high. but it's not low enough actually to do a second gear start in this, because this stuff's really grabbing. Back into 4 low. You can hear the sound of the active track kicking in just right there. So I'm in manual second gear start button is on 4 low, and it's still got traction control. So it's just doing its thing. I wasn't gonna do this, but some people say they pull out their the plug for their ABS wire that goes into their master cylinder or their brake booster. It's gonna throw a bunch of codes, but I got my scanner with me to clear codes. I'm pretty buried right now. I just want to see if I can get the traction control turned off, and if I can, will it actually make a difference right now? Like, it's so slippery, and without digging around the tires, I don't know if I can move, but I want to try it. All right, I just unplugged the plug. I'm not sure I want to show that, because I wouldn't recommend doing something like this, but I actually have some very interesting lights on my dash. It didn't throw the check engine code. What it did was, it added traction control. So from the right to the left, as you're looking at, it's the truck with the squiggly lines. That's vehicle stability control. Then it says VCS off, and it shows the center locking diff. That's normal when I lock the center diff. It turns off vehicle stability control, and that's the only lights I get. Now I've got a VCS track light on, meaning there's no traction control, and the vehicle stability guy is lit up. So let's try this. It's funny with that unplug, the light when you pull up the parking brake is on, even though the parking brake is off. So I'm well and truly stuck. I think what I'm gonna try and do now is I'm gonna get my little shovel out and just give myself some room to maneuver, then we'll try it again. All right. I forgot. Don't do testing videos over 7,000 feet. So I just took my little shovel and dug the walls out from in front and behind the tires. I had a bow hunter stop, make sure I was okay. Main road is just right over there. I didn't want to get too far off the main road, but he stopped, walked over, told him I was testing. He's like, so you purposely got yourself stuck? All right, we're gonna try this. What this test here is trying to get out with traction control completely unplugged. And if not, I still haven't let down tire pressure, and I forgot my compressor because I wasn't planning on doing this today. I actually went to a meetup of coffee and cruisers at Method Coffee over in Prescott. And then I just took off and thought this would be a good idea. So I can try traction boards or winch if this doesn't work. That worked pretty good. So I dug in front and behind the tires because it, you know, like it goes in the shape of the tire, right? In front and back, like it basically cups it like a jock strap around your tire, right? So you dig out a little in front and in back, depending which way you want to go. I recommend going forward because reverse is your weakest gear in all vehicles. Everyone always thinks it's the strongest, and it's not. It's your weakest gear. Plus it's putting pressure on the opposite side of the ring gear as well, which is, yeah, just go try and get out forward unless you're up against a ditch or a tree. So I dug out. You saw I slowly backed up. I get my sunglasses, man. I'm gonna go snowblind. I slowly backed up and then gave it the berries coming out, put the coal to it, and then I tried to stop up there and I was getting stuck again, so I had to floor it. Went down farther to where there was like a dry patch like this. I turned off the road, came back by. So look, yeah, it works, unplugging that thing. I guess you have to turn your engine off, everything, plug it back in, and see if it clears. I don't think you need a code scanner to clear it. I don't know for a fact, and I never recommend unplugging anything like this, but look, it's good to know. All right, so this was a last minute video idea that I did here today, even though I wanted to test this stuff out for myself. But when I got up here and there was the nasty snow, you know, that I know how bad it can get, I thought this would be a good day to test it. So kind of an impromptu thing, but I don't usually do these, and I think that this could be interesting and helpful to a lot of people. I never really thought about it that way. As much as I do this stuff out here, it's not that I'm keeping stuff to myself, it's just sometimes I think things are obvious, or, you know, that people just know it. So passing on the information, maybe it was helpful to some of you guys. I'll show you, what I want to show you is what the lights look like in normal four-wheel drive operation. What that means on this, and like most Land Cruisers are, you push your center locking diff, which takes you out of full-time four-wheel drive into four-wheel drive, which means it's pushing 50% of the power to the front, 50% of the power to the back. That's normal for whether you're in 4 high or 4 low. This is what the dashboard lights up. VSC is vehicle stability control. If the light is on, that means it turned off the vehicle stability control, and then it shows the center locking diff. Now, when I unplugged this plug, now I'm showing this to you guys. I'm not telling you to do this. I'm just showing you what I did. I don't ever recommend you doing stuff like this. I work on my own vehicles. I have not only a scan gauge to reset codes, but I also have a Toyota, well, it's another brand, but it's for all Toyotas, a scanner. So if I threw an engine code and put me in a limp mode out here in the middle of nowhere, I could reset that. So I'm not recommending you do this. I'm just showing you what I did for testing purposes only. This is what the lights look like when I unplug that. And apparently that's supposed to be like your ABS coming from, I believe it wouldn't be coming straight from your wheels. This comes from your computer, right? Call it what you want. ABS computer, traction control computer, vehicle stability control computer, whatever it is, this has a computer to cover all those things. This is probably wiring coming from that computer to your brake booster, telling it what to do, right? Unplugging that, the lights light up like this. You can see the extra lights, right? You can see the extra lights. Vehicle stability control is off. Now we have the little car with the squiggly lines. I thought that was vehicle stability control. It could be something else. The manual doesn't really say anything about this stuff. And then it also turns off VSC track, I think it said. And the track is traction control. And it turned it off. Sorry, I'd gotten hot, so I took off my sweatshirt, and I pretty quickly got cold. There's a breeze going. So the $1,000,000 question is this: who cares, right, Chris? Who cares? Most people, I think, most people, and rightly so, would lower their tire pressures. Let's include snow, mud, and sand. Okay, it's the same type of driving, right? The type of driving, you want to stay up on top of this stuff, and if you get into it, it's all about momentum. Let's just go with that. It's all about momentum with these situations. Never stop when you're on an incline, because you're going to get stuck. You know, there's just a lot of things to look for, but that could be a whole nother series of videos. So most people, I think, would lower their tire pressures in any of those conditions, first off. If they got stuck like I did last week or 2 weeks ago on that little incline, they probably would have opted for some traction boards. What the traction boards will do in that situation and in sand is they give you the momentum to you're basically not starting from a dead stop on whatever element you're on, right? To where you sink down. It gives you a board to get going, and that usually 9 times out of 10 is enough. Unless you're bogged down to your frame rails, right, in mud. I hate mud. So option 1, obviously always lower your tire pressures. Option 2, some sort of traction aid, traction boards. These aren't, the Max Tracks are the best ones on the market, obviously. I mean, they're just superior by the quality of what they're made out of, you guys. These ones here, I never had traction boards in all my years of off-roading, but I've always had, you know, well, I always got stuck. Let's just go with that. So I didn't want to shell out. They're $300 a pair, $600 for 4, and even more if you want the ones with the metal or aluminum alloy spikes on them, nubs. So I opted for some cheap ones off Amazon. X-Bull. These are X-Bull. I have used them once to get the 100 series Land Cruiser out of a mud hole not too far from here. A clay mud. So option 1, tires. Option 2, some sort of traction device. Option 3, have a friend tug you out with a rope, you know, like a kinetic rope, because that's what you want. Kinetic rope, not a tow strap, not a tree saver, not a winch strap. Winching, everything needs to be solid. You don't want give, right? Because that give can actually break your winch. You want everything solid. When you're towing someone out, you want kinetic. You want it to be able to stretch, so it's a softer tug. So kinetic rope, and last but not least, if you have a winch or have a friend that will winch you out. I think that most of the time those are the options that people would go with. They wouldn't go searching for a way to disable nanny systems, traction control systems off their vehicle. But I like to try things out, right? I drive faster than most in all these situations. It's just what I do. That's what's fun to me. Come from off-road desert racing and, you know, racing with long travel suspension. It's all about speed with that stuff. You know, crawling and all that's fun. I love all forms of off-roading, but I tend to drive a little bit faster than most of the people that I know. So I don't want to get stuck. I'm not looking to do all this stuff. I'm looking to power out with my right foot. That's what I'm getting at with this. But it's nice to know what options you have. And these are the options, right? These are the options. Tire pressures, traction boards, friend with a kinetic rope, possibly a winch. Maybe you got lockers on your vehicle. That's another option, but that's, you know, some of these have factory lockers in the rear. That would make a big difference, especially, but here's the other thing, right? If you've got a traction control system that's still controlling your front end, and you want to like light up that rear axle with both tires, you still could be battling yourself a little bit. I don't know. I would say that unplugging that ABS plug into the brake booster for me would be an absolute last resort. Like if I was in a combination of traction boards and all of this stuff, lowered tire pressures, dug. Oh, that's another thing I forgot to mention, shovel, right? That would probably be right after lowering your tire pressures. But maybe I need a combination of digging, traction boards, lowered tire pressures, and once I come off those boards, I need to be able to just mash it. Maybe that's when I might unplug that thing. And that is just for this vehicle. My 80 series Land Cruiser, it has ABS, anti-lock braking system. But whenever you lock it into four-wheel drive, it shuts the ABS off. A lot of people in the forums where I was reading about this were talking about not only did they want to disable traction control, they want to disable ABS off-road. And the reason is, if you've ever driven off-road and hit ice or mud or something slick, it just goes. It just keeps going because it's so slippery. ABS will release your brakes to stop the car from sliding. What it does though is your car just keeps going, and sometimes you want to just be able to lock up your brakes. Even if you are going to slide, maybe you'll slide out of these tracks into the snowbank. So in the 80 series, there is no traction control, and it shuts off the ABS as soon as I put it in. Now that one is a prime candidate to have lockers in it because there is no system that's going to help you, but it does have a lot more articulation in the axles. So it will tend to lift a tire off the ground and freewheel a lot less than an independent front suspension car. Anyway, I've talked enough, you guys. Like I said, this was an impromptu video, but turned out I think it was pretty interesting. I have to wait to see the footage, but it was a lot of fun to make. Hopefully, you know, sharing information like this with other people. Maybe you know something, share it in the comments with me, because this is pretty fun. And again, these types of vehicles are fairly new to me. I've been, you know, driving the Jeep for a lot of years, solid axles and all that. These kind of vehicles here are a little bit new to me in the off-road spectrum, but dang, they're a ton of fun off-road. They really are. And if you're careful enough, you know, a lot of people worry about breaking their CV axles up front. Look, just don't have a hard turn and floor it. Keep your tires as straight as you can. That gets rid of the compound angle on your front CVs. Then you can floor it. You'll be twice as strong. All right, you guys, that's it for me. I'm out of here. I gotta go get something to eat. Thanks for watching.